Have a wine with Sydney food writer Lisa Diminor as we take you behind the scenes where the locals like to play.
Hi guys, I'm having a wine with the man who left an appliance-centric kitchen to rely solely on flames, who shunned molecular gadgetry to cook with nature and intuition, brings a primal style of cooking to the city and literally sweats over, not into your meal. I'm at the multi-hatted Firedoor and I'm with this year's Good Food Guide City Chef of the Year, Lennox Hastie. Lennox, welcome.
Thank you.
Lennox, how do you prepare to stand in front of that oven night after night?
I don't think there's anything that can quite prepare yourself for the amount of intense heat that undergoes in that kitchen. And when I first opened the restaurant, I didn't realise, it had never been done before. I essentially designed the restaurant and the equipment as a prototype. So as soon as I lit the fire, I realised this is just the heat that's going to grow. And very different to Europe, the Australian native woods, and which is the majority of what we burn, that's the base we burn as iron bark, burns 400 degrees hotter than the wood in Europe.
Wow.
It's just such a dense, incredible...
Extreme wood from an extreme country.
Exactly,
yeah.
And we are an extreme country, and when you come to burn it, it just creates this... It's very slow to burn, but it just builds this intense inferno, which makes working with fire quite something else.
Yeah,
I never get used to the heat.
I can't imagine.
People go, you must get used to the heat after all this time. It's like, actually, I never get used to it, and it's always, it's part of the whole sensation of working with fire.
It's a constant stressor to your body as well, putting yourself
completely.
in that.
It's a very physical activity.
Yeah.
In terms of the bare stages of building a fire, lighting a fire every single day, and working and preparing food in harmony with the heat.
Wow. Well, with that infernal heat and the pressures of timing, even distractions from the counter dining, have you ever had a service where it's all become too much? Just want to give up, walk away.
Any chef who says they haven't had that happen is probably lying. Yes, it does. It's already, by working in a kitchen, it's already a very stressful, high-pressured environment. And most chefs are very passionate about what they do. I'm extremely passionate about what I do. And I took a conscious decision to work both with natural ingredients, but a natural form of cooking. And when you embrace nature in that aspect, you have to also, for all its beauty, take into account that it's not always going to go your way.
Absolutely.
I don't think man, as much as we try, is ever going to control fire. It's more a management thing, because it's literally working in harmony with the fire, finding a common ground, I suppose, where it, for me, has intrinsic meaning. But at any given stage, depending on the time of year, depending on the wood itself, the type of wood that I choose, whether it's in a dry time of year, whether it's the summer to the winter, changes greatly what happens with the wood itself and how it burns.
Wow.
I can't just dial it in. I can't.
There's no temperature gauge.
Exactly. No temperature gauge. There's no thermometer. It's literally touch and feel, and sometimes the fire will just do what it wants. And it's very difficult to put that in the context of a kitchen where you're servicing, a full restaurant of hungry guests who come every evening for the very best experience. You want to give that to them, but sometimes it's, you're just dealt the hand you are, and you have to work your best you can.
Trying to tame the beast rather than control it.
Exactly.
Francis Malman, the Argentine chef who gave up on fine dining to focus on primal cooking in remote locations, said fire is a language. What do the flames tell you?
The fire tells me everything I need to know about an ingredient. It's like the ultimate lie detector.
Wow.
There's a simple beauty to it where every single ingredient is laid naked, essentially. It's unmasked, unhindered. And what happens is, if you have a bad product, this makes it worse. But the great thing is, if you have a good product, it just makes it better. It just lifts it and enhances it and takes it to the next level. So, and I can read an ingredient, and it's quite strange because you can see a raw ingredient and it could look amazing. Like, it could be, take an example of fish. They could be all in different stages of rigor and they look amazing in fresh fish, but you can't read it until you put it on the fire in terms of how it reacts to that natural heat source.
Wow. What's the trickiest, or would I say most fickle ingredient that transforms at the flames?
A lot of obviously it's a very intense heat that a lot of people associate with fire, that potential, but it's also, it's a very delicate expression at the same time. A lot of what we do here interweaves throughout the menu in terms of, fish, shellfish, and vegetables, things that people don't often grill. And some of the ingredients themselves are very delicate, and there's very fine points of something being just right or going over, because it is that intense dry heat. So, whether it be things like an oyster, things like caviar, really delicate items are very tricky and require a lot more focus.
Wow.
In terms of when it comes to the grilling, because there's a much narrower margin of error.
Fine line.
Yeah.
Wow, talk about pressure. It's fair to call you a connoisseur of wood, given it's your only source of power in the kitchen. How do you pair the wood with the produce?
It's a kind of a very holistic approach in terms of treating the wood itself as an ingredient, as almost a base of seasonings. And like most chefs, for me, it's built upon experience of trying different woods, and based on as an ingredient what's available at any given time.
Yes.
Depending on what wood has been cut and then seasoned, but also personal palate of trying different flavors and seeing what I feel enhances the ingredient. And it's not just people will get, I think, a bit concentrate focused overly on the name of a wood. Like you say apple wood and they expect to taste apples.
Apple.
Yeah, it's not really how it works. It's more the characteristic of the wood to bring out the natural flavour of the ingredient.
Of the produce.
Yeah.
So it's similar almost to food and wine pairing, like you consider the elements, but there's no hard and fast rules.
Yeah, completely. And it's not just the flavour profile, it's also the burning characteristics. So whether you want to cook something for a short period of time with a very intense burst of heat, so you might choose something like grape wines, which I do for the meat, for the steak here.
Yes.
Or as opposed to something that's like long and slow or really gentle.
I'm interested to know, what's a night like for you away from the embers? Besides standing in front of a fridge.
It's certainly a lot cooler.
Yeah. Do you ever have a night off?
Yes. I mean, with the restaurant closes 2 days, which I think is really important to give the entire team time to rest. And I'm pretty much here all the time, so having that opportunity to spend time with my family, my wife and my son.
Yes.
My son's always a good reminder to, try and enjoy life a bit more and
take some time out.
take some time out. We live actually on a national park, so going anywhere around there in the bush
beautiful.
is a great sort of breath of fresh air from working obviously in a fire restaurant in the city. But
in the city,
also that, something I love about working with fire is it connects me closer to the ingredients.
Yes.
And that connection to nature, I suppose, is if I have time out, is that opportunity to go out and, be out in the bush or, go for a long walk along the coast and things like that and connect to nature directly. So.
Yeah, immerse yourself in it. You talk about cooking on intuition. How do you rely on the intuition of others? Does it take time to build that trust?
Yes, it does. Yeah, it does. And I take my hat off to any young person who comes into the kitchen and openly embraces and is passionate about cooking with fire. It's learning, intuition, but also patience.
Yeah. With yourself and others.
Yeah, completely. And you're not going to get the realization that you're not going to get an instant result. You can't just flick a switch and things will happen. You can't just program it. Literally, what you get out of it is what you put into it.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be so, I would say, a culture shock coming from any other kitchen to this kitchen.
Completely. And sometimes it's better to have someone who hasn't maybe got such a strong experience in one particular set way, because they need to have their minds open to
different styles of cooking.
Different style of technique. Yeah.
Wow. Do you own a microwave? Well, you've got children or a child. So
well, funny enough you asked that, because my wife did buy one when our son was born. I have no idea how it works.
Yeah.
It's obviously not wood-fired.
I figured as much. If you did have one, I doubt you would use it. But it's good to have the option, I guess.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. I don't think she uses it much now that he's grown up, but I'm certainly when it was, I know it's there, but I don't approach it in any way. I don't feel. It's strange when I've always trying to work strong on connections, and it's strange when you go back to something which is, well, for me it's almost I think of it as going backwards, although in terms of most people think of it as going forwards.
Okay. It's like working on autopilot. You don't
a little bit.
Think.
It's like paint by numbers. It just becomes this whole convenience thing of like just dialing in. It's like, well, I can't gauge that. I can't touch and feel something in a microwave. It's like I know when it needs a little bit more of this or a little bit less of that. It's like
but you don't miss the convenience, because there is zero convenience in your kitchen.
I think I thrive on the challenge.
Okay.
It's the challenge of the everyday that it's always going to be different, and accepting nature on its own terms, and doing the very best that you can.
Sure. Well, Lennox, it's been wonderful talking to you. Thank you so much for sitting with me and taking us behind the scenes here at Firedoor.
Such a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, Lennox.
You're listening to Have a Wine, your audio review on eating, drinking, and taking the long way home. For guest updates, follow @HaveAWine as we chat to serious talent and industry insiders. Subscribe and stay curious, Sydney.